flight, if you know the flight, you can look up the track.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
But
strange.
then you would have to figure out if they were faking the track or not, right? If you weren't sure, but Tora, I just posted the meridian altitude method for calculating latitude, which it seems like is based on. You can just do it off of the sun.
Okay, you can calculate your latitude based on the sun. So
yeah, with the meridian.
Is that when the sun's like at noon for you, or?
A meridian contact is the moment when the object contacts the object's meridian, the imaginary line running north-south and through the zenith, nadir, and celestial poles, usually done with the equinox sun at solar noon to determine the observer's latitude.
Okay, so that will make
the time when the sun
take an angle of elevation to the sun, right?
Yeah, but not to Polaris.
But you're going to be 8 minutes off, right?
8 minutes off?
Yeah, right. Isn't the sun's like at solar noon? To you, that position is actually 8 minutes behind.
Oh, you're talking about the apparent? Yeah, there's always, but that's always going to be an issue if you're.
So you're taking so you're going to get an apparent latitude. Sure. Okay.
Yeah, of course. Things are only ever at their apparent position. There's always atmospheric refraction. Such baseline is required. So that's
even a spirit level is curved according to you guys.
In a very minor way, yeah.
Well, if I may add, mic check 1 2, am I coming through?
You're good.
Bet. Thanks, Matt. So, question for C-Line, what is the definition of atmospheric refraction?
The deflection. You talk about like the deflection of light towards a medium of higher density. And then there's terrestrial refraction, which describes the process of refraction through an atmospheric gradient, where there's not a single medium, but there's a continuous gradient of atmospheric pressure, which causes a curvature in the direction of the gradient.
So, does that have the ability? Okay, no. Let me, before I get fully into it. So, you would say that refraction is pendant on the amount of humidity,
among other factors,
or the amount of water, actually, the measurement of humidity within the atmos?
The temperature the temperature differential is a huge one.
And humidity, though, right? Humidity would be the measurement of the amount of water basically present in the atmos, would it not? Allow me to finish the points, bro. You got to let people finish their points, right? Can you practice the 1-1000, 2-1000 before you talk? Can you do that?
You're asking me a question, I thought.
Yeah, but just because I'm asking you the question, like, you have to allow the person to finish asking the question before you jump to the end of what they're asking, right?
Yeah, I thought the question was pretty clear already.
Oh, see, you possess some kind of ability to see into my mind to know the question that I'm going to go to.
Yeah, because I know your scripts, so I already know what you're going to say.
You know my scripts.
Sea Lion, this is Nathan Oakley behavior.
This is Nathan. I'm not muting anyone. I didn't say anyone.
No, it's not only the muting, man. It's not only the muting.
Who did I say should taste my balls in this room?
Oh my god!
Wow, you're just it's interesting because you said that Nathan Oakley was the most vile person on the internet, yet you're the one here talking about people tasting your balls.
Well, he's the one that's saying I'm doing Nathan Oakley shit. So,
you are doing a good job, exemplary job for the last 2 hours of cutting people off mid-sentence.
So you're going to make it very specific, certain parts of Nathan Oakley, not the over-talking, not just man.
Do we have a problem with Nathan Oakley now? I thought we were defending him.
No, we now have a problem with you.
Well said.
You are over-talking too much. You are used to testing your confidence in front of the mirror and nobody's talking back. So stop it.
Holy crap, that was a call out. That was a good one, actually.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're a gold earther or a flat earther. We've all heard each other's arguments so many times that after a certain point, if you actually are participating in conversations and debates, you know what the other party is saying. And even if you do know, because both parties know as soon as somebody, for the most part, what they want. Still, it's polite, courteous, and just plain normal to let a person finish what they're saying before you interrupt and start speaking, right?
That's the entire idea of, again, people viewing an argument or even a discussion from a distance. If it's an argument, they can't tell who is who. They just see two people fighting. So, or arguing for that matter. So you can contribute to the argument or you can contribute to the flow of conversation, which I think the audience is actually here for, not the egos in the conversation.
No, the audience is here.
This shouldn't trigger you, Mordwan. This conversation shouldn't be triggering. It should just be one that we can have. You should be accepting of the fact that some people think different than you, and that's okay.
Yeah, I'm not triggered. I'm chilling, brother.
Cool. So we can reset.
Yeah, can I ask the room something? Is that all right? Is flat Earth music is flat Earth music because it's really hard. I don't know if you guys have ever heard flat Earth music. It's hard to nail it. But could it be cool? Could it ever be good? Could it be great again?
I mean, are we changing subjects?
I think it is great,
we had a
man.
subject going on right now.
Yeah.
Are we changing subjects? Because I mean, there were the subject.
They said they were changing the subject. Yeah.
Oh, they did say that. I'm sorry.
That's the question on the table.
I was just asking. Yeah, I don't think that's a good topic, though.
Yeah, I thought we were talking about atmospheric refraction. We were going through the definition of it, and C-Line wasn't able to allow me to finish asking questions accordingly. So, do we want to finish investigating atmospheric refraction, or are we in for a subject change to flat Earth music?
Yeah, I think the atmospheric refraction is way better than flat Earth music. I don't really.
Right. So, thanks, Elbow. I appreciate the moderation. So, from a standpoint of an atmospheric, I thought you were, brother. I'm so very sorry about that.
Nah, I don't care.
You do a good job of moderating conversations, though, brother, I must say. So from a standpoint of us observing what atmospheric refraction actually is, right? Per lion is the amount of water that's present in the atmos, right? The amount of water. So my question is, does that, the medium possess an ability, a superpower to actually relocate objects, to change them? Or are we just seeing apparitions due to the amount of water that's present in the atmos that we're looking at?
Well, of course, there's a apparent position to all objects in celestial observations. I never denied that.
So it's apparent based on your local observation. But then if I update my location to the thing that I'm looking at, that's apparent. If I then update my location to that location, do things then change because I'm observing it up close and personal versus being away from it?
In what sense? Optically?
Yeah, you just said, right? Things look a certain way from a distance when I'm away from it, right? Now, am I being honest that when I get to that location, right, I presuppose what's happening over there, but then when I update my location to see again, wow, bro.
Well, I take issue with you're slipping it in there. So you're saying I'm presupposing something. What did I presuppose?
The fact that location over in the distance is curved, is dropped away from you.
I'm not
due to atmospheric refraction.
I'm not presupposing that.
So what are you presupposing then?
I'm not presupposing anything. I'm making measurements.
Facepalm. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning, right? So let's go back.
Presupposes level is horizontal without measurements. I'm presenting you with measurements.
No. See, again, I'm going to go back to say that no matter how many houses I look at, right? It could be over the span of an entire neighborhood. It could be the span of an entire city, a whole township. We observe level everywhere, right? Hold
on.
Wow. Go ahead.
You're making that fallacious argument again.
You don't
observe. Yes, you are. You're making an assumption. You're making an assumption that somehow your level device is measuring a consistent and single line of level at all locations. And you have no measurement to that effect.
How is a level measuring. How does a level measure, actually? Let's ask you that.
Gravity.
A level measures with gravity.
Yes.
So why is the... Okay, hold on a minute. Let's talk about gravity now, because we obviously have to not talk about gravity. So
I don't
what
know.
would be
I do not think I would recommend you don't go there.
No, I would like to. I'm curious about it.
Okay.
How would you demonstrate gravity?
With an absolute gravimeter.
Explain
Wait,
it.
can we ask one more question about the spirit level before we move on to gravity? Okay.
We're good.
If we turn the spirit level, right, it's horizontal, it's showing us level. We're going to turn it up vertical, right? And you know how they have a bubble, so you can determine level that way as well. If we draw,
but yes, go ahead.
Okay, so but you understand how we could turn the level the other way to like make sure like a fence post is level. You understand
perpendicular.
That? Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So if I turn the level that way, and then I draw a line straight down on one side of the line, would you agree that line is plumb? Word one.
So if I establish a level and then make a perpendicular line to level, that would be plumb. Yes, locally.
With the level, I'm turning the level up on its side.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I'm with you.
And now I'm going to draw a line down the other side of the level. That line also plumb?
No.
Okay. What do you have? So you said to Killian a second ago that you have a measure that he has not measured that straight line extending, showing that it's not horizontal, correct? So you now have stated that we have two lines right next to each other on either side of the spirit level, and they are not plumb, and they are not parallel to one another. So what measurement do you have? What tool did you do to measure it? Because what you're stating is my level is trapezoidal in shape.
Yes. Do you think that it's possible to have a perfectly parallel shape manufactured?
Well, those two plumb lines are parallel to one another. Yes, by any tool that I have to measure.
You're assuming that.
But any tool.
You're making an assumption. You're begging the question.
No, I'm not. Any tool, any practical use tool that I have to measure the distance from the bottom of those two lines to the top of those two lines shows me the same exact distance. So all plumb lines, therefore, are parallel. So do you have a measurement, sir, of there not being parallel?
Immortal One, you need to stop flipping. Immortal One, you have, sir, you have to stop flipping. If you do it again, I'm going to have to mute you during the conversation.
You shouldn't get so frustrated. Please. Don't get so frustrated with this question.
You're not frustrated. I'm having fun.
No, because I've asked many Glovers, and they'll tell me the level is machined, and it's not curving. You're one of the few that actually do say that the level is curving, which I appreciate because in your model it has to be, right?
Well, yeah, because there's always
hold on.
Oh, sorry,
when I have it horizontally, it's conforming to the shape of the earth. So now, when I turn it vertically, you should never say that line is plumb. Obviously,
no, you're making an assumption of the shape of the earth again. You're making an assumption of level and horizontal being.
I'm working from within your paradigm. I'm giving you the globe. I'm giving it to you. Okay. So now your level line, your spirit level is curved at the same rate as the shape of the globe, right?
Well, there's also going to be a deflection of the vertical locally.
Okay, but when we start to draw plumb lines on the globe, what you're saying is plumb lines eventually bend and curve, correct?
Measurably so, yes.
Measurably so. Okay, what tool would I be able to measure if I drew two lines on the side of a spirit level, which is about like 3 inches thick? When would I be able to measure a difference in distance between those two lines from the bottom versus the top?
You wouldn't be able to measure that difference, probably.
Okay, so there's no way to measure it. So,
but you can't assume that it's parallel
you say
either.
so.
No, you are making an assumption of parallel. Therefore, you have the affirmative burden of proof in your argument.
No. Every practical use tool shows me they are parallel.
No, you're making an assumption of that. You have no way to demonstrate that it's parallel.
every tool. I'll pull out a ruler and show you it's parallel.
You can go to any built. Sorry to cut in. You can go to any built form and observe plumb, which is perpendicular to level.
And there's going
these lines are parallel. Here's the thing: these lines are parallel, right? And on your globe, they should intersect at some point. They would intersect. This is Brother Matthew's point, because this is the way that the parallel is described. That two lines run beside each other, just like train tracks. They never actually intersect, although we view them in our perspective as intersecting off in the distance. You can't even let people talk. I'll just keep talking until you stop talking. Are you going to stop talking and allow people to finish their points? Right. Bottom line is parallel lines, which are plumb, never intersect. Go ahead. Sorry to jump in. Go ahead, Brother Matt, or whoever wants to take it.
You're begging the question. Your conclusion is that plumb is parallel, and your assumption is that plumb is parallel. It's classic begging the question fallacy.
It's been measured that way. Just like I said, when I take the spirit level and draw two lines on each side, when I measure the distance between the bottom and top, I get the same exact distance. So at this point, sir, the burden is on you because I've shown the measurements.
I know what you guys are doing with the script, and it's a pretty clever one, but what tool are you able to use to measure that they are actually parallel up to the level of deviation that would be expected? And what is the manufacturer's specification for these tools? Do they state them as perfectly parallel?
Well, it's not. I'm not going to measure it. No, I'm not measuring. I'm not measuring like the angles of the lines. I'm just measuring the distance between the bottom and top, so I can pull out. There's a tool you could measure down to like thousandths of an inch.
That's not going to be. So, what is the actual tolerance of the tool as described? Do they say that they are perfectly parallel on both sides?
Yeah, the spirit level is perfectly parallel, correct, on both sides.
Zero deviation.
There's no one can measure it practically. So that's what I'm asking you.
Let's look up the manufacturing tolerances of spirit levels then.
No, that's fine, but I'm just saying you're not going to get a practical measurement that shows what you're explaining. So I understand what you're explaining, and I understand your point, but what your point is in my opinion mute, because there's no tool that can measure what you're explaining.
Well, so you're claiming now that when a spirit level comes out of the factory, it has a mathematical perfection that makes it parallel. Zero deviation. That is an assumption. It's the assumption you have to make in order to conclude your premise. Thus, you are begging the question.
Yo, can you hear me, Tor?
I can hear you.
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead, Line.
No. So, theoretically, if, let's say that the spirit level wasn't precise, your level of precision that you're asking for, it would just stir off the measurement. It wouldn't be parallel.
Yeah, it wouldn't be parallel.
Right? If the spirit level was off, it wouldn't be parallel. But hold on a second. So I want to ask Tora, what level of precision is the instrument that you're using when you're measuring the deviation or any deviation? When you're talking about a thousandth of an inch, what instrument are you using for that?
You can use scalers. You can use there are instruments that are used to like measure. A scaler is used to like measure like your valve adjustment in your motorcycle or in your car, which measures like microns. You know what I mean? So we're doing
that would be sufficient. What I understand, because I remember looking this up, a milli arc second is 1.2 inches. So if you can measure a thousandth of an inch, which a milli arc second is measured, you can measure it by a thousandth of an inch.
Yeah, but I just looked up tolerance. The tolerances of these instruments is not what you're describing, nor would they realistically be. You know how expensive it would be to create tools of the precision that you're describing? It's completely unnecessary.
No, I'm just asking for a measurement
of the plumb lines, not like we're going to take the spirit level. We're drawing a line on each side of that spirit level. Now I need a measurement of your evidence. So the bottom of those
you're
would be
doing a
closer
reverse
than the top.
proof fallacy. You are making an assumption to prove your argument, and now you are requiring me to disprove your assumption. But you have no evidence for your assumption. And my evidence against your claim is the fact that there is no perfectly manufactured, perfectly parallel instrument in existence. Therefore, the assumption of your claim is falsified, and therefore your fallacious reasoning is also falsified.
No, it's not an assumption. It's practical use, okay? It's whenever if we use it practically this way, that the level is parallel on both sides. That's how we use it practically, and then everything we build works practically. What you have is a theoretical idea to say, no, there's no way this is possible.
No, you have a theoretical idea.
No, we can measure it, dude. I measure it physically in the world, in reality. You have never measured two plumb bobs diverging from one another. No one has ever measured that.
Yes, they have.
No, they have not.
It's measured every day in inertial navigation systems.
No, that's not a measurement of either side of a spirit level, dude.
Well, you have your arbitrary, silly measurement that you're using for your script based on something that you're assuming. I know what it is, bro. I know how this game is played.
I set up the scenario, and now you're trying to jump to a different scenario that doesn't even involve plumb bobs.
Do you understand what plumb is?
Yep. A plumb line would be technically what you're saying is if I hold up a spirit level right where the bubble is, if we go perpendicular to that, that would be plumb. But a plumb line is simple. You take a string with a weight at the bottom and drop it, and now you have plumb.
So what is plumb defined by?
What is what?
What is plumb defined by?
Defined?
Defined by.
Defined by? It's perpendicular to horizontal.
No, that's not a good definition.
You don't think perpendicular to horizontal is a good definition of plumb?
No, it's circular.
Because it's to the center of the earth in their model.
Yeah, I know, but that would also be perpendicular to horizontal.
No,
technically to them, horizontal is curved, so that's perfectly fine.
It's defined relative to gravity. Exactly. So on your model, all plumb lines must be parallel. And now you guys have, I don't know who came up with it. It's a clever script. But the way the script works is if you can establish that you couldn't measure the deviation on an arbitrarily small scale, which you are assuming to be parallel with no evidence, then it would not be able to be measurable elsewhere either.
It's not that there's no evidence, dude. It's not that there's no evidence. It's all the practical use. This assumption is taken into building. No, I'm saying this assumption is taken into building every single object upon the earth. And every single object upon the earth.
Do you think that spirit level manufacturers are saying that their instruments are perfectly parallel? Is that your assertion? It's possible to create a perfectly parallel instrument with no manufacturing deviation whatsoever?
I'm not. Dude, that's.
Do you think that it's possible to perfectly measure level using a simple spirit level?
I think that they get you pretty close, right?
Oh, okay, so pretty close. So not exact then.
Pretty close on all these different construction sites that exist, right? Multiple.
I don't want to hear your same argument again because
multiple. Here's the thing again: the multiple places of all these different buildings that are built, right? All show this common thing this common principle. So it's become right where the burden gets flipped to you to prove how all these points simultaneously exist with a curve. And this is where we ask for the numbers of the object so we can actually verify it.
I've provided you with that in many different ways. You just keep going back to your argument, which I've already refuted. Tora, do you have any evidence that a perfectly parallel instrument exists. Now you're backtracking and you're saying appeal to pragmatism. It might as well be this way, but that defeats your whole argument because you can no longer show that those verticals do not diverge. You have no way of asserting that. You're applying a reversible burden of proof fallacy because you're expecting me to now, and I have met that burden of proof, by the way. If you look at the chat, I've shown you that no instrument is perfect. It is unreasonable to claim that a perfect measuring instrument exists in this capacity, nor would you be able to, nor would any reasonable person be able to purchase one. Therefore, there is no way to assert, and you are simply begging the question, that the two lines on either side of this instrument are truly parallel when you establish a vertical. And you're also missing the fact that the vertical cannot also be established with perfect precision. So it is not itself a measurement of what you need.
Okay, sir. The spirit level conforms to the curvature of the earth, correct? So it's like if we put it on the table in our house and it shows level, it's actually a upside down smiley face, right? So when we have this, we have a frowny face looking level. When we turn it up vertically, now you're saying the two lines turned into a trapezoid all of a sudden, bro. So you're changing the shape of the level dependent upon its orientation.
No, that's
what you're doing.
That's a ridiculous straw man. That's a ridiculous straw man. When did I say that the shape would change based on...
It has to. It has to conform to your model.
Not at all.
If I turn the level, listen carefully, and don't talk. I will mute you so I can get this point out, okay?
You're going to mute a conversation you're in? That's bad. Don't do that.
You're talking over me and you're not listening.
You're interrupting this whole entire time. Since I've entered this VC, all you do is interrupt people when they're speaking, and then as they're speaking and saying, yo, shut the fuck up so I can finish my point, you start to attack them as, oh, you're just going to mute me so I can't speak? Dude, stop being a pussy. And be respectful, please.
It's annoying for
everybody in this room and for the viewers.
Maybe this isn't for Mordwan. Maybe this is for the flat earthers or for other globe proponents, because this is very important to me. With the spirit level, the globe must claim that the level is conforming to the curvature of the earth. Therefore, the spirit level is now shaped similar to the curve of the earth. So that's why I said like a frowny face or an upside down smile, right? Now, when we turn this thing up vertically, the globers now claim that the top of the spirit level is wider than the bottom of the spirit level. This has changed the shape of the spirit level just by doing an orientation change of the spirit level. Thank you. That's my point. And it's been interrupted again while I was saying it.
Yeah, because you're just straw.
I think we should time Mordwand out at this point for his incessive interruptions.
Yeah, you would want that. You're just straw manning the globe. Your whole premise of your argument is flawed. And your claim, now you've just retreated in a sort of Mott and Bailey fashion to a weaker version of your claim, but you're still trying to assert the original claim, and it's not going to work. Your entire argument hinges on the fact that when you establish a vertical with your tool, the two sides of this tool are perfectly parallel. Therefore, all verticals are parallel. You are simply begging the question, and now, when pressed, you are trying to strawman the globe and say that we are now claiming that there is going to be a deviation across the horizontal on one side of the tool, and that is the reason why when you tilt it, it suddenly changes shape. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the tolerance of the tool.
What is the Mott and Bailey? What is that?
It's retreating to a easier to defend claim while still claiming the harder to defend one without new evidence.
That's not what I'm doing. It's totally he's totally misconstruing. He agreed with me. When we have the spirit level horizontally, does it conform to the curvature of the earth?
I never agreed to your straw man.
Does it? Is the spirit level shaped in the same manner that the earth is shaped?
No, why would it be?
Okay, so a spirit level is horizontal and measures a tangent.
So at one particular
Are you
point,
changing your
it's defining a horizontal. You're going to have a plumb, which is in the direction of gravity, and a horizontal to that plumb. That's all that's being measured.
No, listen, stop. I take the tool and I draw a line. I get it level and I draw a line across horizontally. Does that line conform to the curvature of the Earth? Yes or no?
Are you saying that single horizontal in your mind in the globe model should be
No,
curved?
it's a 6 foot long level. It only has the bubble in your model as the one horizontal. So now when I extend the line across the whole 6 feet, is that conforming to the curve of the Earth? Yes or no?
No, it's going to create a horizontal that's perpendicular to the level.
Okay, because before you told me that the level is curved.
The level is curved.
So the spirit level is curved, correct?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
That's what I just said, dude.
Ow.
No, that's not what you just said. You're making a straw man. You're saying your whole argument is that when you have the spirit level in the vertical position, its sides are parallel. You have never presented evidence to establish that. And then you made an appeal to pragmatism that, oh, well, yeah, for all practical purposes, it works this way. But for your argument to work, there has to be zero deviation. Zero.
I moved on from that argument because you don't have any measurements of it not being that way. So I said, okay, let's scrap this and we'll move on to a new argument here. Because I just want to know, if I put spirit level and I put bubbles all across this 6 foot level, one after the next, after the next, after the next, when I put it up onto the wall and I want to get those bubbles all in the center, only one of the bubbles is going to be perfectly in the center, according to you, correct?
So what is the point of laying them out in your example?
No, we have a 6 foot spirit level. Typically, they only have one bubble in the middle for the horizontal measurement, but we're going to machine one that we just put that same one bubble. We're going to continue them to the left and right, all the way down the 6 feet.
Every 12 inches. Yep.
Yeah, when we go
to observe the bubble. Go ahead.
Yeah. So now when we place that on a wall, right, and we're going to hang a picture frame, what we're going to do is we're going to get that center bubble perfectly in the center, but the ones on the right and left aren't going to be perfectly in the center. Is that correct?
If you line them all up, no, there's going to be deviation.
Okay.
Have you ever been on? I'm sorry. Have you ever been on a construction site, my friend?
Man,
have you ever done any construction work?
Dude, he just
on him for a while.
Dude, hold on, Mordwan. What you're saying then is the spirit level itself is curved at the same rate as the Earth. No,
that's not what I'm saying at all.
Yeah, you are, man.
No, I'm not. Don't strawman me, and don't claim victory on the prior point either, because you just begged the question. And then when pressed for evidence of your assertion, you reversed the burden of proof and you assumed that things were parallel in order to prove that they were parallel, which is a classic begging the question fallacy. And then when pressed for proof, you said, well, for all practical purposes, which completely negates your argument. So
dude,
now
you've said this 3 times now, bro.
Right, cool. I just want to make sure that we're moving
clear.
on.
It's clear. I'll fix the argument for you, and I'll concede to you, Mordwan, that
right, cool.
Dude, you're amazing, bro. You're like the best debater ever. I can't even believe it. You destroy everyone, dude. You're so amazing.
I know. It's pretty good, isn't it?
So now, because the spirit level that we have, we're going to this new one with all the bubble levels on each side. Those bubbles aren't in the center because the spirit level is machined not to conform to the curvature of the Earth. Then, correct?
Of course. Why would it be machined to the curvature of the Earth? That's a ridiculous point to even make.
Okay, cool. So then, how did you eliminate gravity when you were building the spirit level?
I don't know. I'm not a spirit level manufacturer, but you would never perfectly eliminate gravity.
Okay, so then how were they able to make each end not conform to plumb being the center of the Earth?
I don't understand what you're asking.
Okay. Yeah, that one maybe is a little too complicated for you.
Yeah. I'm just a humble man, sir.
So if I hang the two plumb bobs, okay, so we have the spirit level. It's not curving. It's not conforming to the curvature of the earth because we see that the bubbles aren't directly in the middle. And now I'm going to hang plumb bobs from each end of that spirit level. Do the plumb bobs, when they hang down, now they converge towards each other a little bit? Is that what ends up happening? So then if we were to look down from the level, they would actually be inside of the level at that point. Do you understand what I'm saying? I might have to draw this one.
No, I see what you're saying, but there's always a deflection from the vertical. So what you're describing is not going to be measurable in any practical sense. And that's the problem with all your arguments, is like you are making an argument that requires perfect measurements on this scale. And the reason that you're doing it is because it looks like it is that way. But as soon as you start to go to longer distances, you know that you can't actually make this argument. So that's the whole purpose of this. So the problem you're going to have, though, is that, and there's tons of stuff here. We know that there's deflection of the vertical.
So there's no practical way to measure those two plumb bobs deflecting, correct?
Over that small of a distance, there's going to be deflection of the vertical. There's going to be...
No, there's no way to determine that, though. You can't just state that if there's absolutely no way to determine that. So at that distance, for all intents and purposes, at that distance, for all intents and purposes, we can assume they're parallel, correct?
No, you cannot assume that. Why would you assume that they're parallel?
Because I'm going to build something.
Yeah, but you're making an assumption again.
Yeah, and if I don't make that assumption, then I'm going to have to do calculations while I'm building to fix for that assumption.
No. You're just not going to get Do you think I'm standing in this room? Do you think that as I move my hand across the wall, that there's no deviation at all?
No, you have spackle and paint on your wall, dude.
Exactly. So there's always deviations. There's no perfection. There's no perfect tool. Your entire argument hinges on something that is impossible in reality. Your mic is horrible.
Blame the builder. That has nothing to do. Blame the builder. What the hell?
So are you claiming that there's a perfectly flat wall?
This is hard. This is hard to do. I've got a 6-foot level outside I just used yesterday. I'm building my workshop. You lay that level down on the ground. You trace a line on both sides of the level, and you measure the distance between the two lines. There's no deviation between the two sides of the level. You do that with a plumb bob.
You're assuming
Assumption.
You can't measure at the level.
Real quick, Momon, please, honey. Can you at least let them finish before you rebuttal back, please? Thank you.
Measurement tells you it's not an assumption. Like these are how skyscrapers are built and stuff, my man. It's how your house is built.
How everything is built, quite literally.
Yes, and nothing in this world is perfect, and your entire argument is based on a script of not being able to easily measure a deviation on the scale that you want. Therefore, there's no
on the scale that you guys claim.
No, you are the ones that are running this bad faith script right now. The whole point.
No, you guys claim there's curvature when there isn't. You guys claim it.
Evidence. Nobody has rebutted any of the evidence that I've provided. I have provided rock solid evidence of physical curvature. Nobody has been able to rebut. So now we're going to this silly script of trying to establish that two lines that are extremely close to each other in the in something that you're even assuming to be vertical perfectly, because you can't even perfectly measure level with the common instruments that you're going to use, are perfectly parallel.
If I drop the plumb bob from each side of that level, why do they deviate? They deviate towards the center of the earth. Is that affecting the shape of the level at all, or no?
Why would it affect the shape of the level?
So then what you're saying is the measurement from the top, so the 6 foot across, right? It's 6 feet. At the bottom, when we measure it, it's going to be a little bit different from 6 feet, right?
there's no perfect measurement on anything. And
but I'm just asking you, theoretically, say we have a tool that we can measure. So it's 6 feet across, right, at the top. Then when we go to measure between the two tips of the plumb bobs on the bottom, we're going to get like 5 foot, 11.999999999 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you get tools from the manufacturer, the tolerances will be stated. And I'm the only one that's posted any actual evidence.
So what you're saying is the plumb bobs are going to the plumb bobs are attracted to one another, that they're swinging into each other off of the edge of that. That's kind of, well, if it's shorter distance at the bottom than it is at the top, that's what that implies.
No, it doesn't.
It implies that those plumb bobs are converging to each other.
You're just making an assumption now about what's going to happen on that small of a distance.
So you're saying plumb bobs don't converge towards each other when you get closer to the center of the Earth?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying
that they do, correct? The plumb bobs do converge to one another as you get closer to the center of the Earth, correct? Why are you fighting this?
Because I'm not going to play your games. Over that distance, there is a deflection of the vertical. So if you were to steelman the globe, you would say that the deflection of the vertical would be such that that you cannot measure what you're even trying to measure.
Okay, that's fine, but we're doing it theoretically. We're thinking theoretically on this, and as we get closer to the center of the Earth, the plumb bobs are going to be getting closer and closer together.
To the center of the Earth, but there's a deflection of the vertical, so theoretically, there's always a deflection of the vertical, and that deflection of the vertical is measurable. It's known. It's measured with gravimeters along with other things. Therefore, your entire premise doesn't hold.
Well, my premise is we hung 2 plumb bobs from the sides of a 6-foot spirit level that doesn't conform to the curvature of the Earth, right? So we have 2 points in space that are 6 feet apart from one another and a tangent to the Earth. So now
we don't know that it's a perfectly established tangent. How do you know that?
It's as close as we can get. It's as close as we can get.
I'm denying you your script. That's what I'm doing.
No, that's okay. You can do that, but it's as close as we can get with the tools that we have the ability to make. So therefore, it's as close to a tangent line upon the Earth as we can get, correct?
Nonetheless, it is not exactly what you need for your script to work, I'm afraid, sir.
So no, it's not. It's
closer than an 8-inch deviation of a mile. It's closer than an 8-inch deviation of a mile, which is what you need for the circumference of the Earth. So I'm going to deny your script right off the bat, too.
I'm not running a script right now.
Yes, you're running one.
You sure are, because you're defending.
Because you just said earlier.
If I get on a script, y'all are about to have a bad time.
You're following a script because you said earlier, and you forget what you are saying, and you just arguing. You're arguing about something that against what you said, because you said that there is an impossibility of measuring those lines to be parallel or deviating lines. So you're just assuming that they are deviating against the practicality of what we use. That when we use them, when the engineer is drawing a skyscraper, stop whining. Stop whining when I'm talking. Stop whining when I'm talking, please. Mute your fucking self.
When you're being fallacious.
Stop whining when I'm talking and mute yourself till I finish talking. I'm done talking and you can respond to what I say. So the engineer never mentioned that those deviations in his drawing. So he's drawing 90-degree angles to form a square shaped room, for example. So he never take account of any deviation. And also the builders and the plane surveys, they are assuming a flat plane where they are building the thing, and they are assuming also those plumb lines to be perfectly parallel to each
No, they're
other.
not.
That's
they're not.
how they are.
Nope.
They
Nope.
are. They are.
No, they're not. I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to stop you there because you just loaded
Yeah,
on.
no. You won't stop
All
me.
you
You
guys are
won't
doing.
stop me
All you
there.
guys are doing are
No,
making assumptions.
no. It's not an
And just
assumption. No builder is accounting for the deviation of the plumb lines when he's just making a wall or a building. And no engineer or any plan that is drawn by an engineer has an account of that deviation for the plumb lines. No one. Can you show me
so your argument is that it doesn't exist?
No.
Parallel?
My argument is that you're just assuming that they are deviating from each other, and
The
you are
default
just against
position?
the practicality of what we do, and also you are against what you said because you said that you can't measure that deviation or those lines being parallel in small scales, and you never did that in bigger scale at
No, I
all.
never said that. I never said that. I said that there's always going to be a tolerance on every tool. And when you are using your personal tools and your ways of measuring, you personally are not going to be able to measure the difference. So when people in this chat said, oh, I measured that the things were parallel, you don't have any realistic measurement of that. You're just making an assumption that they're parallel. You don't have anything. You have no way of showing that. And on the contrary, I'm the only person that's provided any actual evidence. I've shown you that tools have tolerances. So now you're making an appeal to pragmatism and saying, oh, well, it has to be this way because that's just the way that things work when we use them. That's not a good argument. And your entire argument is based on a fallacious begging the question of assuming that things are parallel and then using that to say that things are parallel. It's just
you must apply the same criticism then to the speed of light, because the speed of light is a pragmatic thing known. So yeah, you're gonna have to. I'm gonna hold you to the consistency of this critique in all your other arguments, sir.
You want to go to special relativity? I don't.
No, I don't want to. What I want to do is in the future, any argument that you make better not have anything to do with pragmatism. Okay.
No, that's not what I'm saying. So if your argument for pragmatism is that there's perfect parallel that exists, because your entire argument, this is the crux, your entire argument is that all verticals are parallel. You're establishing that.
Can you explain to us why an appeal to pragmatism is a fallacy?
Hold on. I'm explaining.
No, go ahead. No, we don't need to hear your script. You said it 10 times already.
I don't have a script.
Ahead.
I'm
Whatever. We don't need to hear you respond the same thing over and over. Give us a reason.
However the hell I want.
Give us a reason why the appeal to pragmatism is a fallacy. Please, you're going to have to state why it's fallacious.
In this case, I was just doing that. So it's fallacious because you're making an assumption that they are perfectly parallel. And then you are only backing for that assumption now as you retreat from your argument to an easier position that you think you can defend while linking it to the previous position is that, oh, well, for all practical purposes, they're parallel. Therefore, they're parallel. Therefore, all things are parallel. Therefore, the lines don't diverge.
You say that there's no tools capable of making these measurements, bro. So, like, is the proof in the pudding?
The tolerance of the tools is not sufficient ever.
Do you know where the tolerance comes from?
Is the proof in the pudding?
I'm going to ask you. Do you know what the tolerance comes from? The manufacturing of the tool, the way the level is set comparative to the machining of the metal. It can be like on some of the worst cases about a 64th off. Some of the best cases about 128 off. And that's almost immeasurable with any other tools. And when you draw a level on a wall, when you throw a level, when you make your wall plumb, okay, and it's not even called level, it's called plumb when it's vertical. When you compare your walls, which would be almost like the plumb bob is hanging to your front wall and your back wall, when you compare them, you draw a measuring tape, you throw your measuring tape between them to make sure that they have the same measurement between each corner sides, which verifies your plumb. Like you're going off of an idea of tolerances that you don't even know how the tolerances are brought about. They're not because the spirit level is imperfect. It's not because water doesn't exactly go level. Water goes level. That's how the spirit level works. It's an air bubble in water. It's all based on how that little piece of tube with the water in is set perfectly in the machined metal. That's where the tolerance comes from. It is not because water is not level.
Thank you very much for proving my argument.
That tolerance that they talk about, it is just about that spirit level being more flat than curved, because they say that we tolerate that just because the curvature is just so small in that small scale, so it won't be detected. So we can tolerate the spirit level to be more flat or horizontal than curved line. And they tolerate in buildings, and the engineer also, when he's drawing the plan of that building, he's tolerating to put perfectly parallel lines and perfect 90-degree angles between the line and the floor. So it means that it is completely against that what they are thinking about, what they have in their own imagination, only in their own imagination, no practicality of that curvature or that deviation that they have between the plumb lines. So that's only exists in your mind, brother.
Yeah, only, if I may, it only exists within the heliocentric paradigm, that tolerance, which, as you've been saying this whole time to all the other people here that are FEers, right? Fallacy. That in itself is a fallacy, because you perceive with a first line bias that the Earth is curving, even though you have no physical proof of it, even though everything, all measurements are done flat.
Nobody has countered any of my physical proof, so I'm not going to let you just...
He was still talking.
Okay, but he's saying things that are just patently false.
Yeah, and you're saying things that are badly false, but we let you speak. Can you just chill?
That's the difference, right? That's the difference. We shut the fuck up when you're speaking. It doesn't matter what you're saying. It doesn't matter if we agree or don't. But you don't. You lack respect, bro. You lack common sense, and you lack the objective open mind to listen to what people are saying and actually absorb it instead of instantly going for a counter argument. Because you want to be right, and you don't want to have a conversation and see the other side. That's the key difference here. If you want, from this point on, I can do exactly what you do whenever you speak, bro, and we'll see how far you go.
No, we're not going.
I'll go very far, because I'm far more stubborn than you are. The thing is here, when I had a call, you'll notice so the record will show that when a conversation was had in good faith, I responded in good faith. When a conversation was had on a bad faith script, I'm not going to let you run the script. That's it.
You're saying you've good faith when we're talking about interruptions. Okay, stop doing that.
I don't.
Yeah, we're not saying anything about your good faith argument. We agree that you're having a good faith argument. It's just the perpetual interruptions.
I don't agree.
He just said I don't interrupt in the middle of your sentence, dude. That was so funny, bro. Which is funny because the person who thinks they're the arbiter, right, on the topic, whatever's being discussed, will be the first person to interrupt to try to keep that person on track, acting like they're the arbiter, the holder, the gatekeeper of truth. So I have a question for Sea Lion, and this is just a quick one. Have you ever built anything in real life?
No, I haven't.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that.
That answers the question. Oh my gosh.
So thank you both very much. The last two people that had spoken before the white knighting, were coming in to say that there are tolerances to every tool. You gave specific tolerances. I agree. Therefore, the entire argument is invalidated, that there's a perfectly parallel set of plumb lines. And the other argument that was made also validated my argument. So thank you for that as well. And now we can talk about practical measurements of the deviation of the vertical, which will invalidate the flat Earth.
You're just money into your little. Thank you.
I'm gonna say this.
Is this how this works?
You just lost the argument again, Mod One, because you're saying you've got a technique to show curve using plums, but they can't use that technique to show flatness. That's
no, they could. They could.
Yeah, but that means what you just said is wrong. Then
we've even met people in Dawn to start.
Wait,
you sounds like
Dawn. Unpack that. What was that? I didn't recognize it.
Don has a bone to pick with me. It's okay.
It's dude.
That's all right. Yeah.
It's not your fault, Maud. They're double speaking, and that's making you double speak instead of just explaining rationality.
Don't flip, Dawn.
No, that's actually what's
It's not
happened.
double speaking at all. Now we can talk about something more interesting, and we can get off the script to a good faith conversation.
You got a good faith conversation, dude. That's the issue. Even when Toro was steelmanning the globe side with the divergent plumb bobs, you even was combative there. Why? Why did you just agree? That's your side's thing.
You haven't steelmanned anything. You're just strawmanning the globe. You guys never steelman.
No,
you even argued against that.
He presented globe claims as if it was a flat Earth claim, and you denied it, not even realizing that it was something that justifies your claim. He did it a couple times, and you were showing that you were just being argumentative.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't going to accept strawman claims.
You've been exposed, Mordwand. You can go back home now. You've been exposed, bro. You're not in good faith. You're here as a contrarian. I did steelman the globe position, and you didn't even hear it because you have such a bias against me because I think a little different from you, and your ego is so large that you cannot get over your egoism, and we don't have room for that here, sir. We allow others to speak. We allow them to share their ideas without being interrupted. If you like this style of debate, please go to those rooms that you enjoy so much, 24/7, whatever, your globe gangsters, whatever, that other dude, Gem, whatever. Just go.
Globe Gangsters! Tell to change the name of that server, Globe Gangsters. It's fucking lame. But
it's a great name. Geo came up with it.
If I may,
what's the name of your server, Andy?
Well, I'm not too bothered. I'm up here.
Yeah, because you're just a baby flurf, so.
Okay, just chill, dude, chill. I've actually thought about like two buildings apart, in New York, for instance, and you think if they're 10 miles apart, that's like 66 feet a drop, and you think about the bottom of the base of that building compared to the tops of those buildings, like it should be noticeable by your eyes, shouldn't it? That they're sort of leaning out, like it should be very prominent. But
no.
I just did I got ChatGPT to do the calculations for me, and it's only like 2.5 feet. I thought it'd be way more than that.
Across New York, 2.5 feet.
Yeah, it's 2.5 feet from this would be the deviation, and it's like, what? I thought it'd be way more than that. Didn't you?
You're imagining a smaller globe.
I don't know. I just in my mind, it's like 66 feet a drop. That's a lot, isn't it? So
it's from a horizontal, but you won't notice it like it's downhill.
Yeah, but the question then becomes is when we take a bigger number, like 100 miles, and this is why I stick on that 100 miles, because us finding that 6,600 foot drop over 100 miles, that's pretty deep.
100 miles would be about 1 mile, right? Somewhere around there.
1.25 miles for the first 100 miles, and guess what? After that, it gets exponentially worse as you continue the drop, to the point where when you reach that terminal point, you being upside down in reference.
Yeah, but it's on a big scale of that.
Yeah, but Don, this is the thing where I continue, and this is where I appeal to you to try to have an intellectually honest conversation with you.
I'm ready for it. I am ready.
You, right, to say, okay, then if we take on the idea that in fact we're dealing with a basketball, right? Taking it the macrocosm down to a microcosm scale so we can actually consume it.
If you can agree it's a huge ball, I can agree it's a ball.
Tactics is sea lion. Allow me to finish. We have to be able to take on the dimension of that structure, the radius, right? And then look for the 100-mile distance and the 6,600 foot drop over that 1.25 mile distance, or that 1.25 miles that would be expected over that 100-mile distance. Please go ahead.
I don't know what you're asking. You just stated something.
I'm asking for a 6,600 foot drop over 100 miles that I travel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we don't have that. We haven't got a 100-mile scale in the standard that you want. We just don't have it.
I actually showed him already, Don. I showed him 182 miles. He said, "Nuh-uh."
Is that from Jesse or someone else?
It's from someone else.
Well, okay,
But
if
I
you
have
could
tons
show
of
the
other
guy,
measurements.
if you could show the guy up the mountain, that's more believable than just a diagram, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah. I can show you raw measurements. I can show you zenith
Yeah.
angles to the sun. I can show you ECEF coordinates, and it all matches the globe. Nobody
I
has
did
had any
see the
refutation.
diagram. I did see the diagram, Killian, and the other mountain is supposed to be higher, but it's 1900. 1900 or 19,000? 1900 foot down. So it's more than what you asked for. You just have to believe someone has done that measurement.
Okay, hold on. Let's back this up for a quick second. So those two mountain tops that were shown, what are the elevations of those two mountains, those peaks?
They're both Googleable. So you have to trust that someone else has measured them from the flat surface of Earth around the edge of them and agreed on the height of each one.
Right. Now, in the confines of the conversation, when that mountain observation was presented, right, electricity is no longer here, but he did present the rebuttal of compression over distance, right, which is a thing that we have to account for when we're observing something off in the distance.
Could be a real thing. I don't believe in it, but it could be a real thing.
Hold on a second. You're saying compression over distance is not a real thing?
Not to drop a mountain top by 1,900 feet.
No, hold on. Just don't jump to the conclusion just yet. I'm asking you.
No, I've got to use the context example of the mountain, haven't I?
Again, I'm asking you, compression over distance, that's not a thing?
What do you mean by compression over distance?
As things go away from you, they get smaller. They get compressed into the horizon line. Is that not a thing?
That's two claims. I believe they get smaller. I don't believe they always get compressed into the horizon.
Hold on a minute here. So you're telling me that as something, and I'll withdraw after this question, as something goes away from you, it does not, does it get smaller or does it?
Yes, I just said yes to that.
Smaller? Right. Now, when it hits that vanishing point, the horizon line, can you see it?
That's two things. The vanishing point is not the horizon line. That's two different things. If you have to get that, or else you're going to be wrong about it in the future again.
I take the vanishing point and the horizon line as the same thing because
that's wrong. That's always going to be wrong.
But but you can let me finish right here and allow me to explain why.
You're not taking it in that it's wrong.
Okay, yeah, but you have to explain to me. You have to allow me to explain why I think this way, and then you can tell me why I'm wrong, right? Because from my understanding, the horizon line is set by the person perceiving it. So if that person can no longer perceive the object as it goes off in the distance, and they're the one setting the relationship with the horizon line, then we have a problem. Because then there's two things that are able to set a visual thing that the perceiver is able to perceive at the same time.
Yeah, two things, two different things. I'll agree. There's two effects if we see something in that way where you explained.
So just to be clear, the person perceiving the horizon is the person that sets that relationship, correct?
I don't know what that means. The horizon is just the line between the land and the sky. So the person might not always set that. It might be the height of the land or the dip of the valley.
Okay, so as I change my altitude then, go up higher in altitude, what happens to the horizon line?
Do you mean the position of the person determines the horizon, not the actual person?
As I change my location, I go up in altitude. What happens to the horizon line, Don?
It drops a little bit, I believe.
It drops.
And it moves back as well.
Oh, it does go further away out from you then, does it?
Drops and moves back. That's my belief on what it does.
It proves to be a tangential relationship then, correct?
I don't know what that means.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Could you explain it in layman's terms?
Tangential relationships, from my understanding, require a flat baseline.
Explain what tangential relationship means in layman's terms.
As I go up, I get to see further out.
Yeah, that's what I just agreed to, yeah.
Right. So again, the person perceiving the horizon, right, sets the relationship of the horizon with the ceiling.
You mean their location does?
Right. So I could be in a hallway, right? Put my chin right on the floor of the hallway, and my horizon will be right, maybe a few feet away from me. But then as I stand up and I gain a 6-foot observer height down that hallway, I can see further down the hallway. Do you agree with that?
Okay, you're just saying height determines the horizon. Yes, that is a factor.
Again, I'm saying to you, the height sets the relationship with the horizon line.
You
Does it
started
not?
off by saying the person instead of the
Yeah.
height.
Yeah, that's the thing that has the height, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Thanks,
I
Stacey.
didn't know what you meant. I thought somehow the person might manifest a personal horizon sort of thing. I don't know
Oh,
what you think.
I've been saying the entire time that the person is the person perceiving the horizon is the person that sets their
Yes,
relationship.
you said it again just now. That's a weird way to say it.
Go
I mean,
further
Don,
up,
are you not
higher.
understanding? I mean, I'm trying to get over here because I don't want to keep hearing you repeat it and repeat it because it feels like you don't get it. The location is changing, so what their vanishing point is changing. He's trying to say this is all working together, so the person's vanishing point does matter. Do you at least understand that?
Okay, so if he's saying the location change
Is that
determines
what
the
you're
horizon,
saying?
why is he saying the person determines it?
I'm not trying to speak for
Why
Killian.
did he
I'm
change
trying to
location
literally
to person?
speak and ask if that's what Killian is trying to put forward to you right now because he's trying to say there's a relationship with the vanishing point and the person, right? It's the vanishing point.
Not always the person. It
Location.
could be where the camera is or
Yo,
how high the
exactly.
land
But
is.
he's using a person in this example, brother. If you want, I'll go outside right now with my phone and I'll do an example on the floor and then raise it to my height on just normally, and you can see the difference that the horizon, right, and the vanishing point are going to change due to the the perceiver's height. Let it be his own height or his height plus whatever he's standing on. Let it be a camera, whatever it may be, right? It's what's observing the horizon and the vanishing point.
The observation height.
And real quick, I think Killian was trying to speak a second ago. He may have lost connection because he went in and out. I think Killian, I didn't mean to cut you off, Killian, or butt in. I know you were going back and forth with him, but I just was trying to maybe help. See if Don can understand, you know?
Oh no, we're totally good. Trust me,
Okay.
I'm in and out of the conversation. I'm doing other stuff, but I'm
Did
totally.
you end up hearing what I was saying to try to see if that was what you were meaning and the relationship with the person?
Exactly
And the
it.
vanishing point. Okay.
No, you're good because the thing about this is right. The observation that we can go to show that this is the case. You can be watching the sunset along the west coast of the United States of America, and as the sun is setting, it shows a light beam coming right to your feet. And then you could have a buddy 30 kilometers away from you on the same coast, and he's got the sun with a light beam right to his feet. That means that the person perceiving the horizon line sets that relationship. You can't escape it. The aperture, whether it be a camera or your naked eye or your telescope or your whatever it is that you're using to view it, the aperture is the thing that sets the horizon with the horizon line. Go ahead.
I'll turn on my camera if that's okay with you guys for a sec to show you what Killian's saying in real time.
Factors I can agree on. The height is one of the factors.
Exactly.